We'll start with the prayers. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunuktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavaditamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. We are starting the Panchadasi classes, chapter 4. After a small break, before I start, I wish each one of you a very happy new year and a healthy new year. Today, what I plan to do is for the first 10 minutes, I will give you a short summary of what this chapter is about. And then we will start with the 50th verse, which we stopped last session. Panchadasi as a text, I have said before, it consists of 15 chapters. It's written by a very great Acharya, Vedanta Acharya, called as Swami Vidyaranya Swami. Now, each of these chapters can be studied independently. There is no continuity between each of these chapters. So, I have taken up chapter 10 before, I have taken the other chapters. This chapter, number 4, is called as Advaita Viveka Prakarana. In the highest Vedanta, they talk about Advaitam, Dvaitam, and Visishta Advaitam. These are the three fundamental schools which existed in India during, say, 800,000 years ago. The Upanishads are the same, the Bhagavad Gita is the same, Brahma Sutra is the same, but it can be interpreted differently by different people. Shankaracharya propounded, and he was promoting Advaitam. The way he studied under his guru, who was Advaitic Acharya, all his writings are based on Advaitic principle of the Upanishads. Swami Vidyaranya also follows Shankaracharya in promoting Advaita Vedanta. Advaita means what? It means there is only one reality. There is only one God. There is only one Ishwara. There is no separate subject-object difference in the universe. That is the fundamental basis of Advaita. What about Dvaitam, which we experience then? During our normal waking state, dream state, we experience Dvaitam. Dvaitam means what? I am the experiencer, and there is an experienced world. This Dvaitam has to be negated by us intellectually. And how this Dvaitam is negated intellectually is explained very beautifully in this chapter. And the author says, you discriminate between what you are experiencing as the world and yourself as the experiencer. Keep in mind all the three states of experiences. Don't just judge and conclude with reference to only one state. Don't conclude with reference to the waking state alone when it comes to the conclusion about the world. So as students of Vedanta, when we study this chapter, what am I supposed to learn? My mind is supposed to travel in the direction of what the author is saying and conclude ultimately that there is only one principle. That is the objective behind this chapter. This chapter consists of 69 verses and it is divided into 7 topics. Verse number 1 is the introduction of this chapter, which talks about 2 types of creations. Isha Dvaitam, Jiva Dvaitam. Creation in which there is Dvaitam, that means there is 2. Plurality which is created, there is created by Ishwara. And then there is also Dvaitam which is created by the Jiva. That is the first verse of the chapter. From the second verse to the 13th verse, the author talks about what is this Ishwara Srishti. This whole creation we talk about, what is this creation? How does Ishwara create this Srishti? Why does he create this Srishti? That's all discussed between verses 2 to 13. Then from 14 to 31, Jiva Srishti is discussed. This is a very important section because this is the cause of problems. All the sorrow which we experience in this world is all due to Jiva Srishti. That means I, with my own mind, am creating duality, which is causing me sorrow. So if I learn about this duality and also learn that it is the cause of my sorrowful experiences, then I will know how to get rid of this Dvaitam. So 14 to 31 describes the nature of Jiva Dvaitam. That means that the duality created by our own mind. I am the subject, the world is the object. That is the duality. From 32 to 37, we talked about Jiva Dvaitam as the Bandha Karanam. Bandha Karanam means what? I feel bound to this body. All of us. All of us. You see, there is a nature of mind which is the I notion, which is, according to the Veda, ever free. That is the Atma. And the Jiva thinks today, then it is this body and mind, that is what the Jiva thinks. This thinking which is there is a wrong notion. That is beautifully described from 32 to 37. Then the 5th topic, which is the central theme of this chapter, it discusses from 38 to 66 verses. How can I get rid of this Jiva Dvaita. And the author mainly focuses on Vikshepa Nivritti. There are two portions of Maya. Maya means it is a shakti. All of us in us have this Maya Shakti. One part of the Maya Shakti is the Ajnanam. Ajnanam will go away when I know through the Veda that I am Atma. In this particular chapter, Swami Vidyaranya takes into account the second part of Maya Shakti. In Tattva Bodha itself, we have learned Maya consists of two Shakti, avarana Shakti, Vikshepa Shakti. Vikshepa Shakti is the projection of our mind. And first of all, I should understand this projection is taking place in this body. I have not much control over these projections, but I can realize I am the witness of these projections. That is what is the teaching. If I know that I am a witness and I am not the projections itself, then I can hold on to the witness component, and slowly this Vikshepa Shakti will become duller and duller and duller to such an extent my own intellect will tell me that the Vikshepa Shakti is of a lower order of reality. I, the sakshi, am the higher order of reality. And there is no Vikshepa Shakti without the presence of the sakshi. The sakshi is eternally there. Continuously it is there. In the waking, in the dream, in the sleep, and beyond these three states also sakshi is existing. That sakshi is my goal to realize through the method of mala vikshepa nivritti. I get rid of this projections of the mind, which is the Jiva Srishti, and realize my nature. That is the essence of 38 to 66. 67 and 68 talk about the benefit. What do I get when I study this? Jiva Srishti, Ishwara Srishti. What do I get out of all this? The author says, you will realize that you are ever free. Free from the notion that I am the body, free from the notion I am the mind. That state of the mind where the mind knows that it is going through the experiences, but that is not the reality. The reality is sakshi Atma. That state is called as Jivan Mukti. Freedom from individuality. And the last verse, 69th verse, is the conclusion. So knowing the cause of the Dvaita, which is the Jiva Srishti, and knowing how to remove this projection is the essence of this chapter. A very beautiful chapter, very well-designed chapter for all people who are interested, all seekers who are interested in learning the essence of the Bhagavad Gita or the essence of the Upanishads. For them, this chapter is very useful. Many seekers have studied Panchadasi and they have found they are able to understand Bhagavad Gita and Upanishad much better after studying Panchadasi. Ultimately, Upanishads is the central source for the Vedic knowledge, which thousands of people who want to learn Veda, but they don't know how to learn, they don't know where to go. They don't know where to start, they don't know where to begin, they don't know what type of books are required, but this is what is our study, which is going to be throughout this year. We are going to do Panchadasi in 2023. Different chapters will come. We'll discuss this more and more. But this chapter, this is the essence. With this essence, I will go now straight to the 50th verse, which we are going to begin today. Before we go to the 50th verse, the 49th verse talked about the duality is a creation in the mind. This duality is of two types: Shastriya duality, Ashastriya duality. I'm just revising the 49th verse so that you can connect with the previous talk. Ashastriya duality is also divided into two parts. We'll discuss as we go by, but just to remind you, there is Shastriya duality, Ashastriya. That means not in keeping with the Shastra. That is called as Ashastriya. What is Ashastriya? Ashastriya is also divided into two parts. Shastriya is divided into three parts: Shravanam, Mananam, Nididhyasana. When we do the study of the Veda, that is what it creates duality in the mind. That is called as Shastriya duality. Ashastriya duality is our own projections in the mind, which are causes of duality. What are those projections? Is given in verse number 49. Two types of projections. One is called as Tivra. Tivra means intense. And what is the intense duality? The thoughts of anger, lust, jealousy, greed, delusion. These thoughts, when they rise in the mind, that is what is called as Ashastriya duality. This is one type. And what is the second type? The second type is daydreaming. My mind, as on many times, we find ourselves lost in our own thoughts. Keep on projecting. What will happen to this? What will happen to my children? When they grow up? Oh, when they grow up, they will get married. When they get married, they'll have children. Then I'll have to look after the children. Then the children will grow up. These are all projections of the mind. Vidyaranya calls this daydreaming. He says, stop it. Don't get involved in this, because that is Mandha Jiva Srishti. Tivra Jiva Srishti is our vasanas, which is all this kama, krodha, lobha, modha, mada, matsarya. Mandha Jiva Srishti is what? Our own daydreaming. Manorajyam. That is what is described in the 49th verse. So with this background of the 49th verse, when we study the 50th verse, it will become more easy for us.
उभयं तत्त्वबोधात् प्राङ् उभयं तत्त्वबोधात् प्राङ् निवार्यं बोधसिद्धये निवार्यं बोधसिद्धये शमः समाहितत्वं च शमः समाहितत्वं च साधनेषु श्रुतं यतः साधनेषु श्रुतं यतः.
So now Vidyaranya is asking, should I get rid of this projection in my mind or not? And when should I get rid of these projections? That is what is the topic he is going to start now. And he continues this almost till the end of the 66th verse. This is the topic. So what he says is, before we enter into study of the nature of that cosmic person, that cosmic Purusha, which we call it as Brahman, the reality behind the entire universe, he says we must give up both the ashastriya Dvaitam, because we require a mental poise and concentration for the study of Brahman. What is Brahman? Brahman is nothing but it is the reality behind the entire universe. It is the reality between you, it is the reality between me, and it is the reality between the millions of people, billions of people on the earth, and the entire universe. There is one reality. So before we enter into it, we must get rid of this Jiva Dvaita. Bodha Siddhaye. Bodha Siddhaye means for the realization of the ultimate nature of this universe, which is called as aparoksha anubhuti, direct realization, ubhayam nivaryam. Ubhayam nivaryam means give up both the Srishtis. And what are the two which we have to give up? Shastriya Jiva Srishti, Ashastriya Jiva Srishti. Shastriya Jiva Srishti we drop after realization. What is the Shastriya? I just said in 49th verse, Shravanam, Mananam, Nididhyasanam. That is what is Shastriya Jiva Srishti. Ashastriya Jiva Srishti is the Tivra type and the Manda type. Tivra is the 6 inner enemies of the human being. The inner Kama, Krodha, Lobha and all that, and the Manorajya. Both have to be given up. In the end, both have to be given up. Ubhayam Tattva Bodha Pran. Both Tivra and Manda, Ashastriya Jiva Srishti should be dropped before Tattva Bodha. That means before getting the knowledge of Brahman, I have to understand this nature of the Jiva Srishti and learn to get rid of this Srishti. Yataha Shrutam, because it has been explained in the Shruti, it has to be dropped. It is a Shruti. You see, when we study Brahma Vidya, we must understand Shruti means Upanishads. It is the speech of that higher reality, which tells me, if you want to come and realize me, this is what you should do. One must have sadhana chatushtaya. We have seen in Tattvabodha itself, shama, dama, samadhanam. These are all the qualities, attributes which I must develop. What is shama? Shama is the control of mind. What is dama? Dama is the control of the sense organs. What is samadhanam? Samadhanam is the focusing ability. My mind should be able to focus in the class. For 1 hour, the class is going on. I must be able to focus 100% without my mind wandering into non-related areas. That is what is the requirement for the study of Upanishads and Brahma Vidya. My mind has to be single-pointed because the reality is very, very sukshma, very subtle. The subtlest in creation is this Purusha, highest form, which my mind has to be ready to receive this knowledge. Vrihadaranyaka Upanishad very beautifully says this. And in a section in Vrihadaranyaka Upanishad, there is a section where there is a guru called as Yajnavalkya. And the king, the emperor of a kingdom, he is the disciple. There, Yajnavalkya teaches this king that Brahman is that principle which is never touched by any evil action, like killing somebody. Now you have to know that Brahman which neither increases or decreases through any action. Action is the cause of growth. Karma is the cause of growth, but this is beyond karma. There is something in this universe called as sakshi, witness, Brahman, Atma, Ishwara. There is something like this. Now that, if you want to know, you must have a calm mind which is withdrawn to itself. And this particular verse of Yajnavalkya in Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, he says, one who has this calm mind, which is sinless, which is taintless, which is free from all types of doubts, because the mind has become calm. When we study Vedanta, what will happen? Initially, we have hundreds of doubts. The moment you study Tattva Bodha, you come out with a PDF document and you say, well, I have these 20 questions. Yesterday, there was somebody, I answered those 20 questions. But I know that these questions will drop after some time. Initially, yes, we are all enthusiastic to learn. And our mind is not ready for this knowledge. But how do I make the mind ready? The doubts have to be cleared. The mind has to become free from doubts. That is what Yajnavalkya taught the king, Janaka. And what did Janaka do? In the end, he says, Janaka says, I give you, sir, this entire empire which I have for this knowledge of Brahma Vidya. I give the kingdom, I give myself to you. Now you take it. That is the joy of a person who gets this Brahma Vidya. He says, I don't want anything more in this life. I am a fulfilled person. Completely fulfilled. There is nothing in the universe which will give you fulfillment except this Brahma Vidya. And that is what we are learning in this chapter. How do I learn this? By the method of shama, dama, samadhanam. One who has these virtues ultimately he experienced the reality. So the essence of this verse is you have to control the mind, control your inner tendencies like kama, krodha, lobha, control the sense organs, drop these before you get into Brahma Vidya. Many of you will ask, oh, I know right now I don't have control over this, but can I study or not? The Acharya says, don't worry. You get involved in the study, automatically after some time, when you keep on doing the shravanam of these verses, your mind will calm. It will become calm. The focusing ability of the mind will increase. There will be no more manorajya, no more daydreaming and wandering. The moment the mind starts wandering around, you will become aware. Before the study, you were not aware of this. You were not aware that my mind is wandering. You were thinking, I am the mind. After the study, when you study these verses, what will happen? You become aware. Hey, my mind is wandering. Sometimes you can't control it. But sometimes after repeated exercises, like Lord Krishna said in the 6th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, Abhyase tu na kaunteya vairagyam vadrishyate. So with vairagyam and abhyasa, you can control your mind. Keep on practicing. Whenever the mind is going in a wandering session, tell your mind, let's stop this wool gathering. Let's come to Athato Brahma Jignasa. Let me remain in my nature as the sakshi. So, the first sutra of Brahma Sutra is this sutra. For those of you who have done the Upanishads, who have done the Gita, they want to enter into Brahma Sutra, which consists of 555 sutras like this. Athato Brahma Jignasa is the first sutra of Brahma Sutra. What does this sutra say? After having gained sadhana chatushtaya sampatti, now let us deliberate on Brahma Vidya. Shamaha samahitvancha sadhaneshu shutham. Those who have conquered the Ashastriya Jiva Srishti, who have learned to drop them, they can enter into Brahma Vidya. That is the essence of this verse. Now, there are some people who might ask, after this Brahma Vidya, can I keep on having desires or not? Can I continue my desires or not? That Vidyaranya is going to answer in a few verses. We'll see and how he answers it in a very logical way. Next verse is the 51st verse.
बोधात् ऊर्ध्वं च तद्देयम् बोधात् ऊर्ध्वं च तद्धेयम् जीवन्मुक्तिप्रसिद्धये जीवन्मुक्तिप्रसिद्धये कामादिक्लेशबन्धेन कामादिक्लेशबन्धेन युक्तस्य न हि मुक्तता युक्तस्य न हि मुक्तता.
Here Vidyaranya says that having these inner enemies, he calls it, Lord Krishna also calls it Asuri Sampad, 16th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, Daiva Asura Sampad. Now, if you have these inner vasanas in you, and you can't even live properly in this life. That's what he says in this 50th verse. You are asking me whether I can get rid of, after having Brahma Vidya, whether I can get rid of, whether I can have desires in life or not. But here he says, forget about Brahma Vidya, even to live a good, even to have a good human life, you need to get rid of your anger, jealousy, and so on. That is the essence of this verse. Keyam means to give up. Bodhat means after aparoksha anubhuti, this question whether I should give up my desires or I can continue the desires, this question itself is invalid. Because before jnanam itself, you are supposed to get rid of all this inner passions. Samskaras should not cause an obstacle to tattva jnanam. If they remain, they will be an obstacle. The moment you want to have self-knowledge and you get this knowledge, what happens is there is no future birth. There is no rebirth for a person who knows Brahma Vidya clearly, distinctly, without any doubts. The Shastra is the only source for this information about rebirth. Because at the end of this journey, the spiritual journey, a jnani realizes that he is one with that reality, and this birth which he has been experiencing before as an ajnani is an error, a notion, a wrong notion which he has. By the force of prarabdha karma, the mind still continues to have the tendencies of kama, krodha and all, but one must learn to give it up as early as possible. Vasana upsurges of thoughts and emotions are beyond our conscious control. You see, whenever you are angry, no person on earth can say, I will control this anger today. It's not possible. It is an inner, invisible force. It is an upheaval of the mind, outburst of the mind. Unconsciously, we become angry. Unconsciously, we become greedy, jealousy. All this is inner phenomena. And the only way to get rid of this is by knowing that I am not these samskaras which are rising in the mind. I am Jivan Muktaha. What is the meaning of Jivan Muktaha? Jivan Mukta means I am the Jiva which is not connected with the mind. Mind is there. I experience the mind, but it is a false nature. What happened to all your thoughts last week? Are they still there today? No, it is disappeared. Where did it disappear? It came and it went. While the thoughts were there, you were feeling very, very, very strong with emotions. Those emotions are gone. Now you're free. So, a jnani realizes that these emotions come and go. Agama pahi, arrives and departs. I am not going to connect my nature, my own nature with this mind of mine. That is the way to control ultimately, because see, initially what happens in spiritual studies, the emotions control you. But later on, when you keep telling yourself, I am the sakshi, I am the sakshi, I am the witness of this mind, I am the witness of this mind, repeatedly when you tell yourself this, what happens is the emotions become weaker and weaker. They are not as strong as they used to engulf you. the emotions become feeble. They lose the power. How do they lose the power? Only because you have got this knowledge of Brahma Vidya from the Shastra, from the Veda. You are studying the Veda. Veda is telling me this is my nature. There is no other means of knowledge except Veda, which can help you to control your emotions and the inner turbulences which you face in life every day. There is no other powerful force. The realization of the self is the highest which a human being can ever aspire for. The bliss which seeps through the level of the mind overfills the personality, which is the individuality. It takes over the individuality, and one is able to conquer kama, krodha, lobha, moha, all the delusions in the mind. Slowly, it is not an automatic process. You switch on and switch off. It doesn't happen like that. Jivan Mukti is a slow process. Liberation is a slow process. As you learn the Veda, as you do more and more Shravanam, your mind becomes less powerful, and you, the sakshi, feel that you are in control of the mind. Till that time, mind is controlling you. So, for a Jivan Mukti, even after knowledge, these kama krodha should not be encouraged. Suppose you say, no, I don't want Jivan Mukti. I want kama. I want all these feelings. I feel very good if I have krodha, Then Vidyaranya says, you are a fool. You are, instead of aspiring for the highest in the world of human nature, you are going down. Stop falling down in your spiritual journey. When you are in touch with your inner enemies and you take them to be reality, then you are falling down in spirituality, you're not growing up. That is what Vidyaranya is saying. There are more verses in this. We will continue. This section of the notes is a revision from 49 to 51. You can study this. It is just whatever we have studied. It is just you can revise at your free time. What is Tivra Ashastriya Vidhi? What is Manda Shastriya Ashastriya Srishti? These are all explained here. I have explained to you what is Manorajyam. Manorajyam is your own mind, which is wool gathering, thinking about the future, instead of focusing on the present. Don't encourage this mandha. This is that projection of the future, remembrance of the past. These are all mandha. They are dull in nature. It makes your mind duller. The projections of kama krodha, they are all rajasic in nature. So both this tamasic as well as rajasic, you have to control to make your mind sattvic. And in Kathopanishad, this verse which is there, which says that when all the knots of your heart are destroyed, yada sarve pravidyante hridayasya granthyaraha. What happens when your knots of ajnanam, that means ignorance and projections, when the knots, these are the ones which is tying the jiva into this body. What happens when this knot is untied? The mortal becomes immortal. What do you mean by mortal? The jiva which is thinking, I'm suffering, these notions, that is the wrong notion, is the jiva. the wrong notion. I was born, I am dying. This is a wrong notion in the mind. How do I get rid of this notion and become immortal? Through the knowledge of Veda, through the knowledge of Atma, through the knowledge of Brahman, which is of the nature of immortality, I come to learn that my nature is also the same as this consciousness principle. When I learn this, I will get Jivan Mukti. Okay, this Jivan Mukti topic continues till the verse 66. We'll now go into 52nd verse.
जीवन मुक्तिरियं मा भूत् जीवन मुक्तिरियं मा भूत् जन्मा भावे त्वहं कृति जन्मा भावे त्वहं कृति तर्हि जन्मापि तेस्त्वेव तर्हि जन्मापि तेस्त्वेव स्वर्गमात्रात् कुति भवान् स्वर्गमात्रात् कृति भवान्.
Here, Vidyaranya talks about those people who are interested in Swarga. They have a desire. See, many people are there who do a lot of rituals and homas and all that. See, what is their belief? Why do they do it? They believe that there is a rebirth. There is another loka called as Swarga Loka. 14 lokas are there. 7 are upper lokas, 7 are lower lokas. So people who are interested in going from Bhuloka, this earth, after they drop this body, they want to go to the higher lokas. The highest loka is the Swarga Loka. And what do you get in Swarga? Better quality of body, which will help you to get better sense pleasures. Each loka, you get better and better quality of body so that you can enjoy sense pleasures. Here Vidyaranya answers those people who are interested, who have desires, not to fulfill desires of this world, ihaloka phalam, but paraloka phalam. Paraloka phalam means something beyond this world. Then what Vidyaranya says is, he repeats whatever the Upanishads are saying. You will have rebirth again and again. One day you will come back to this earth again. Because after your punyam is exhausted, your swarga time will end and you will come back to this earth. That is what is the essence of this verse. It is the same thing which Lord Krishna talks about in the Bhagavad Gita, 8th chapter, where he says, after your punyam is over, you will fall back and come back to this world again to build up your punya papa. Without body, you cannot earn punyam or papa. You have to do karma. Iyam jivan mukti mabho. This mukti is over. This mukti means what? This jivan mukti comes by manonasha vasana shayaha. Manonasha means what? It is not destruction of the mind, but falsification of the mind. Very important point, which in Mandukya Upanishad, Gaudapadacharya very beautifully says this in Mandukya Upanishad. Manonasha is falsification of the mind. You cannot destroy the mind because that is given by God. It is Ishwara Srishti. But you have a choice to say the mind is false because it just gives you, it puts you into delusion. All types of delusions. Happiness exists in the world outside. External objects give happiness. My life is ending. All these are all notions which your sense organs are telling you, mind is telling you. But what is the reality? I am the sakshi is the reality. And how do I know I am the sakshi? Only through the Veda. So here what he says is, you will have birth if you have desires. The more desires you will have, the more you will come back into this world again. So what is the best way? Best way is to say, I am sakshi. And how will the desires go? Don't worry. It will go. Slowly it will go. That is the answer. When you get the direct knowledge, aparoksha anubhuti of this pure reality, then there is no further possibility of a new body. This is from the Shastra. It is the Shastra which tells me that there is something called as a cosmic Purusha. There is a reality. It is the Shastra again which tells me, knowing this Purusha as my real nature, this sakshi, this consciousness, this reality, the Satchid Ananda as my real nature, it is a Shastra which tells me I will have Videha Mukti. Videha Mukti means what? I will not get any more birth into a body. So desires are twofold, Aihika, Amushmika. Aihika means what? Pertaining to this world. Whatever bhoga I can enjoy in this world. I want to have 5 houses in 5 continents. I want to have so many things in life. It's possible. Amushmika means what? Other worlds. Future worlds, future bodies. You can get Swarga Bhoga and this is not the end of it. You can get the same joy by being here in the same earth, but by being a Jivan Mukta. What you can enjoy in Swarga, in many of the Upanishads, it says, through Vairagyam, the Jnani enjoys all the benefits of the Swargaloka in this birth here in Bhuloka itself, Taittiriya Upanishad. There's a very beautiful section in Taittiriya Upanishad, Ananda Mimamsa section, where it gives you the gradation of different lokas, Prajapati Loka, Gandharva Loka, all the lokas are mentioned, and it tells you that the higher the lokas, you'll get better sense pleasures. But ultimately, what does the Upanishad says? A jnani who knows that the mind itself is a false entity, and I am the sakshi of that mind, he says that jnani has the highest ananda. With desires in the mind, aparoksha anubhuti is not possible. That is the conviction of Vidyaranya and many other acharyas, which is the truth. If I keep on having, I want to experience that, I want to experience this, then when will you have time to understand that you are sakshi? That is what is the problem. So, what is the conclusion? Give up kama. That is the ultimate conclusion which Vidyaranya makes. And that will give you the benefit of moksha. Next verse.
क्षयातिशयदोषेण क्षयातिशयदोषेण स्वर्गो हेयो यदा तदा स्वर्गो हेयो यदा तदा स्वयं दोषतयात्मायं स्वयं दोषतयात्मायं कामादिः किं न हीयते कामादिः किं न हीयते.
So here in this verse, he just extends the same idea of 52nd verse. He says that the pleasures of heaven are defective because they come to an end. They have a waning, they have a gradation. Waning means it increases, it is there. So even in Swarga Loka, there are different grades. Like you have a middle class, you have a higher class, you have lower class, all the grades are there even in Swarga Loka, because the sense pleasures which you enjoy in the Swarga is also graded according to your Punya Papa. So he says, if that itself has to be renounced, why don't you renounce your desire in this world with all your passions? That is the way Vidyaranya is asking. He says, get rid of your, he wants us to get rid of your desires, for fulfilling which you will take new births. That is the essence of this verse also. Swarga has doshas. This is the verse I was referring in the 9th chapter of the Gita. Tetam bhuktva sarga lokam vishalam shine punye martya lokam vishanti. This verse, what does it say? After your merits are exhausted in the Swarga, you have to enter the world of mortals. That is the essence of this verse. Now, these are the verses which tells us that we should not be running after pleasures of the world. But is it easy to achieve this? No, it is not easy. Your mind and sense organs are going towards that. But the more you hear Brahma Vidya, it will slowly dwindle down. It is not easy controlling the mind. You see, shama, damas, all that, it's easy to do it in Tattva-bodha. But when it comes to reality in real life, try controlling it. Lord Krishna himself says that you can't control the Vayu. How can you control the mind? Mind is much more subtler than the Vayu principle. But efforts have to be put in by the Jiva. Ishavasya Upanishad also has a similar meaning. Asurya namate lokaha andhena tamasa vrataha. If you go and follow your desires, you will end up in more and more kama, which is a dosha according to the scriptures. Desire is a root cause for rebirth. Then the next question is, does a wise man have a desire or not? Wise man does the duty desirelessly. There is no selfishness in them. Wise man acts from happiness. Ignorant man acts for happiness. See, this is the difference. It's a very big statement by Swami Tejomayananda of Chinmaya Mission. He says, wise man acts from happiness. From happiness means what? He knows that I am of blissful nature. I am the Atma principle. What about the ignorant man? He is always trying to do actions for happiness. So change the attitude and you will be able to realize Jivan Mukti. Okay? So next week we will take the 54th verse. There are 69 verses, around 16 verses are there. And we'll complete this in about maybe I think four or five sessions. Okay, so with this we close today's Panchadasi session. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purna Purnamudachade Purnasya Purnamadhaya Purnamevavasishyade. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. I'm just going through the chat questions. Vibhuti is saying the duality is quite different from that as given in Sankhya Darshanam, that is Purusha and Prakriti. Purusha and Prakriti are different because the reference point is different. Here, the duality is in our own mind. See, basically, what Sankhya is saying is correct when you're talking about the totality. Even in Bhagavad Gita, in the 13th chapter, Lord Krishna talks about Purusha and Prakriti, Kshetram and Kshetrajna as the duality. Bhagavad Gita, Advaitam, they accept the duality of Purusha and Prakriti up to a certain extent. But what Advaita says is, Advaita says Purusha is the ultimate reality. Purusha means Brahman. Purusha means God. Purusha means Ishwara. In Panchadasi, we are discussing a little bit more about Jiva Srishti. In Jiva Srishti, there is Dvaitam. So don't get confused between the macro picture of Purusha Prakriti and Panchadasi, the 4th chapter, where we are discussing Dvaitam with reference to the Jiva. Jiva Srishti and Ishwara Srishti. Ultimately, they all will end in the same Purusha and Prakriti only. That is a big picture. But also you should learn to understand how Dvaitam is very important for us to understand in our own mind, which is going on, Manorajyam. And how I can, see, the moment you become aware of this Manorajyam, what happens is you become aware that I am the consciousness principle which is aware of these thoughts. That is what Vidyaranya is trying to ultimately come to. Okay, is there any other question? Vibhuti, have I answered your question? Is there any other question from others? I will unmute all of you so that you can.
Yeah, Shikharji.
Yeah.
Yes. So you said that mind is Ishwara Srishti. So we cannot negate, but we have to falsify the mind.
Yes.
So if it is Ishwara Srishti, then it has a purpose. So falsification doesn't reconcile, no?
Okay, good question. Yeah, see, what you're asking is, if it is Ishwara Srishti, Sukshma Sharira is a Ishwara Srishti. It is the 5 elements put together by the Lord. Now, what happens is, why are we trying to understand this falsification of the mind. Why do we need to falsify the mind? This is how the creation is. You see, the creation consists of trying for the jivas to come and fulfill their punya papa. The creation, the world, what we experience is only meant for this one purpose, for the jivas to fulfill their punya papa. Now, what the Lord says is, if you are interested to come out of this cycle, then you have to falsify this mind. If you want to continue this cycle, then you don't do, there are many people who are, see, this also actually depends on your own prarabdha karma. Your own prarabdha tells you, in your cycle of prarabdha, you have realized that this, how long can I continue, being identified with this false mind? This realization comes to very few people. So if this thought comes to you, then you have to know how to falsify the mind. Till then, no problem. You see, there are millions of people who are not having any knowledge of this spiritual science. They are all in the boat of the samsara. So your question is, why and how? Why should I falsify the mind, and can I falsify the mind? The answer is, you need to falsify the mind if you want moksha. If you want to say that, is there anything in this world which I want to know? Is this mind the only thing? Because the mind is such a delusionary, it puts you into so much of delusion in life, and which cause a lot of pain in life. So there are some minds, there are some jivas who ask this question. For them, the answer the Shruti gives is, falsify the mind, learn who is the seer of the mind. Who is the experiencer of this mind? That experiencer is your real nature. Knowing that experiencer, sakshi, Atma, Brahman, whatever you may call it, knowing that, you will be free in life. That is what is the answer of the Shruti. So is it clear, Priti?
Yes, Shekharji. So, like what Ramana Maharshi says, that Atma is ever moksha. The moksha is of mind. So
Yes,
yeah,
that's correct.
Right.
Atma is always free. But it is the jiva who thinks that he is the mind, he is the one who is in trouble. Atma is always free. Like I said, the moment you drop the three components, Sthula, Sukshma, Karana, Shariram, you learn how to drop it. Immediately you're free. You don't have to even think about anything else. You will find that you are lightened up. The moment you come to know, oh, I have these three Sharirams, I never realized this. And this Sukshma Shariram will continue again and again, taking up new bodies. Why should I be bothered about the Sukshma Shariram? So what happens when you learn more and more about this Atma, Brahman, all this is, your mind becomes more stronger to face the life. Let anything come. So what? It's going to be just there for a short period of time. It will go away. Any emotion will not last a long time. And it is these emotions which cause a lot of panic for us. People get into samsara because they can't handle their emotions. And people who come to Bhagavad Gita, Panchadasi, Upanishads, they are able to tackle their emotions much more strongly. Many people, you'll find, they are able to see the benefit of this type of study. Okay, any other question?
Thank you, Shekharji.
Sure, thank you.
Shekharji.
Bolo Baba.
There was a question earlier saying that a wise man, is he really fully happy, and is it not covered by the three gunas? Times comes by and all that.
Yes, you're right. The wise man is called as a jnani. And who is a jnani and who is a ajnani? The difference between a jnani and an ajnani is jnani knows the gunas are belonging to the mind. Gunas belong to the body. Gunas belong to the three shariram. Jnani knows I am not the three sharirams. I am the Atma. Repeat it 100 times in your life. Doesn't matter. I am the Atma. I am not the three sharirams. I am not the body and mind. The more you assert this sentence, that's why I took it up in meditation today. The more you assert this again and again, you'll find that the gunas which are there, which are troubling you a lot in life, it is this guna which keeps on telling you, oh, this body is ending, the body will be reborn. All that is all the gunas. It is your mind. It's playing tricks. You should tell yourself, okay, I am learning the Bhagavad Gita. God has blessed me with the knowledge of Gita. I have learned that I am different than the body and mind. Let me live with this notion again and again. I am not the body. I am not the mind. I am the Atma. So, your question is, a jnani, a wise person, is one who knows that the gunas are affecting the body and mind. They do not affect me, the spirit, the witness, the conscious principle, which is my eternal nature. It will always be there. Always be there. It is a promise by Lord Krishna to all the seekers through the Bhagavad Gita. And he says that, believe me, you are an eternal being. You are an eternal spiritual being. You're not you're not a mortal human being. Let it come and let this sink in you. Okay? Good question.
That is what the Lord Krishna says, no one can escape the three gunas or what.
Yes, you see, as a human being, you cannot escape. The moment you keep on telling I am a human being with a body and mind, you cannot escape the gunas. Okay?
So just keep telling that I'm not the body, the mind.
Yes, that's correct. That is the ultimate mantra for all of us.
So I am the super conscious mind.
Yes, I am the super consciousness, Atma.
Okay.
And it is coming from the Veda. You see, it is not a teaching of me or somebody else, but it is the Veda which is teaching us. And the Veda has been there for millions of years. And thousands of seekers like you and me, they have gone through this teaching and they have found immense benefit. And that is why it is still surviving. Such an old the old teaching. But even today, people are learning the Bhagavad Gita. Why? Because it is the truth. And people have got benefit out of this study. So you and I should continue the study so that one day, yes, we all will get the bliss which the Upanishads promise us is there in us. It is just covered today. The moment I remove the covering, one day you will say, I am really blessed to have learned the Bhagavad Gita, Panchadasi, Upanishads. I am a blessed person. I am very, very fulfilled in life. I have been searching for peace and happiness and security in the external world. I drop that now. I look for peace, security, happiness in me. That is the ultimate success.
But we have not reached to the stage yet, right?
Yeah, we have not. No, none of us have reached, but we are in the path. Don't worry, it doesn't matter. Let us just continue. Our effort is to continue in the path. Our effort is not to get the ultimate. We cannot demand moksha. It comes automatically.
Yeah. It takes time.
It takes its time. Like how a coconut tree, you put a seed today, will it get to tomorrow coconuts? No. It takes its own time. Mango tree,
Yeah, true.
it will take its own time. Okay, so that's how the mind is.
Okay, thank you.
Very good. Thank you. Many of you have before the vacation, I had asked some people to do some revisions and all. Many have contacted me. They have said they have studied the text. They have found these benefits. They came back. They asked some questions. I'm very happy to share that many of you, not one or two, but many have come. They have done some revision work. They have found some benefits out of this knowledge sharing, and they are interested to continue this spiritual journey. Thank you. We will continue next week. Good night.
Good night.
There is one question here. I am not the doer, is not it? Yeah, you are not the doer. You are not the doer, you are the sakshi. That is the correct way to think. Okay? The body is the doer, but not sakshi. Again and again assert, I am the sakshi. Okay?
Not the doer. Yeah.
I am not the doer. I am the sakshi.
Sakshi.
Yes.
The witness, like you call it.
Yes, witness. Thank you.
The witness.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night. Bye.